Okay, thank you, folks. First and foremost, I want to address some of the comments being made online that really affect Jordan, Sienna, myself.
Introduce yourself, sir.
Who are you?
Tell these people who you are.
Yeah. Who are you?
Who are you?
Yes, we don't know who you are.
Sure, my name is Jay Trost.
Okay, now thank you.
You betcha. My name is Jay Trost. We purchased the property just north of here, just north of Bill. The property is being discussed today. So we haven't proposed anything to planning. What we did was we bought the property and then we submitted a pre-application, a pre-planning application. And in fact, I made a conscious effort to stay completely as far away from it as possible and be a investor with Sienna and Jordan. They completed the pre-application process. And we were essentially looking at what the opportunities were. What could be facilitated with this property? And yes, as Bill came back and discussed, we received our pre-application review. It was conducted by Zach Moody, who's out of Medford, and he identified that a small-scale private campground would be an allowable use. It would require, and I can just read some of this to you, I can read some of this to you now. And it may clear up some of the...
Just a quick question, just to clarify the process, because they talked about it being an R5, and so what is the process that you went through to say, okay, you can do a campground? It's just because it can be used as forest, and then the plan to the campground, or how does that work?
And I would say the majority of the questions, that's the surrounding question, right? Because a lot of the accusations are that I was manipulating the process, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Which I was not. But so here's what it is. So here's the rural residential zoning. Rural residential zoning has two outright permitted uses. Okay? Single family dwelling or mobile home, and farming and forestry use. Okay. Then when you go to farming and forestry use, the first part of farming and forestry use is subject to the approval of the county governing body or its designee. So we, the commissioners, don't make those decisions. We have a designee who does that. That's the planner, our contracted planner out of Medford. And it says a private campground may be established in an area zoned for forest or mixed farm use, subject to the approval of the county governing body or its designee.
So, excuse me, it is not zoned for that. It is a use for that. For RR5, it is a use, not a zoning.
And the reality is, Eleanor, that's your interpretation. All we did was ask the question. I didn't create the interpretation.
Okay.
As much as some people want to believe, I
I'm
had no...
I'm clarifying what is real. I've read all of it.
So when it says farming and forestry use is an outright permitted use in our zoning areas, the farming and forestry use is the use. And if there's an outright use within farming and forestry zoning, that's how I'm interpreting what they wrote to us.
We have a question.
That's how I'm interpreting that.
So, Jay, would you have to have it rezoned to forestry grazing to do this? Or
No,
can you keep
well,
it as an RR5 and be allowed to do
not
a forestry grazing project?
Not according to the planner. So because I'm just reading.
Yeah.
I'm just reading what they wrote, and I'll read the conclusion, because that's the easiest, that's the cleanest statement in the entire pre-application. Now, I want to remind you as well. Bill is right. Like, we don't have the plan. You don't have the plan until you find out whether or not it's something you can actually execute, which was why we did the pre-planning discussion, because we wanted to see if it was even allowable.
Aren't
And
you
you're
already
commissioner?
excavating now?
No,
You don't have anybody over there working on it now, doing anything?
No, we have-
At all?
no, so we have some of our equipment, because we're storing it there, because Jordan does have an excavation business. So that is sitting there, certainly. But you can look from the 101 and see that it's just sand sitting there. And so, back to the,
The process.
yes, go ahead, sorry,
So you're in your pre-planning.
yes.
What have your conversations been with DEQ regarding waste? And what is your plan, pre-plan there?
So,
That
so
would be part of the pre-planning process.
we have literally, all we have submitted was the pre-planning application to the county.
So the county approved a pre-plan without any conversation with DEQ?
No, they don't approve anything, they just write what you're capable, or what their interpretation of the zones, of what you can do. And
So
so,
do they have anything specific to wastewater or water use in general in this pre-plan?
oh, there's all the restrictions that are involved with it. So, can I read the conclusion? It might help. Okay. Here's the conclusions, the concluding statement by Zach Moody. The proposed development of a small-scale luxury RV resort and campground by TK Ventures LLC at 24298 Carpenterville Road represents a project that is potentially approvable as a forestry use under ORS 215.49459, subject to planning clearance review by the planning director. However, approval is contingent upon the applicant's ability to demonstrate full compliance with all applicable provisions of the Curry County zoning ordinance, including but not limited to the standards listed above. So those are where your concerns are gonna come into play.
Well, I'm just gonna think how close you are to the river there, a waste treatment that's stuff to that is gonna be, I mean, we do septic for a living.
Drafted. I feel pretty confident that we've somewhat abandoned the idea of a septic system, like, actually, because we're talking 2 week stays, right? In fact, in order to be compliant with the campground ordinance, it has to be less than 30 days, right? That's all campground ordinance. So, and we had anticipated of maintaining around the 2 week maximum stay. We don't want the long-term thing isn't an option. So, in fact, that's why we were sticking with just water and power and not doing the black water. We had preliminarily discussed having like a dump station with a controlled tank that we would have to pay to have pumped on a regular basis, or else they'll have to drive to Harris Beach, to the dump station at Harris Beach.
Which you're gonna have a lot of irresponsible people that are not gonna do that.
They're already doing it. They're
You're from Central River.
It's illegal.
right. No,
That's a good solution.
they're doing it there. If we can get them
That's illegal.
here,
Right
To
around
do it
They're
here.
not gonna pay, they wanna stay for free.
I appreciate the assumption. I don't
It's not
share
an
this.
assumption.
Okay. Yeah.
So the thing with the black water, and this is, we spend a lot of years in our motorhome traveling every weekend to different motocross tracks, and I did this for years and years, all over Northern California, Oregon, and up into Washington. And I will tell you, for instance, I was at Washougal at the big national race. Now it's a dry camping situation. I get up in the morning, have my cup of coffee, 06, and you look across the way down below, and I see another motorhome. We're getting close to leaving. You know, the big events are over. People are getting ready to head out. Motorhomes are leaving. So I look out there and I look down into the trees, and I see a guy that has dug a hole. I'm not. This is the real. I'm being truthful. He dug a hole with a shovel. He opened his black water and he dumped it in that hole right there. And then he filled it over, I sat and watched it, and then he drove away. That's one of my concerns when I say environmental. Because again, I've got little kids walking down that road through the campground, I got a dog, you know, now I get a dog that runs over and sticks his nose in this thing and then comes home and licks the baby in the face. You know, that's, I know the intent would be what you just said, hey, go to Harris Beach, or we do the dump station at your place, or whatever, but there's always gonna be those guys, and I've seen them. So, just something to think about.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Okay, you kind of contradicted yourself just a little bit, saying that you wanna move the people out off of the 101 and put them in here. However, when you were talking, you actually said in the conclusion, a luxury resort. What is that?
so, I think, I don't know I don't know, because that's not what we put in when we applied, we just said a campground with RV.
It's written in the document.
So,
You say glamping.
yeah, well, let me answer this one quick, okay? So, one of the things that we have been discussing, again, and I'm glad that actually we're having this conversation, because none of our information is finalized in terms of what we plan to present. But, it's normal to have an expectation of RVs no older than 15 years. And they have to have, if they're older than 15 years, they have to have, you have to basically get a waiver, a pre-approval, by sending in the pictures of your condition of your rig.
And I am an RV owner, and yes, you are correct, where we had to send in a picture. But my question still is, it's conclusion of the luxury versus the people. On Highway 101 is completely different. And if you're talking luxury, are you going to have a camp host who's gonna be monitoring
Certainly.
any of these things? I mean,
Right,
that's.
no, I'm so glad you asked that. That's, so that is an absolute. In fact, initially, Jordan and Sienna would be living on site to manage for the first to get through the first year or so of startups. There will be a full-time camp host, probably, well, possibly two, because a lot of times one of them wants to go on vacation and need someone to back them up. So yes, there would be full-time supervision. The best model, if I could, just to give everybody an understanding of the model, of the idea, would be Floresville. Okay? That's, in my estimation, the closest model to what we're initially envisioning. Now, again, I mean, we don't have anything solidified. So a lot of the answers I'm giving you are just what we've had in discussion. Because as Bill pointed out, we haven't even started building the plan yet. Okay, hold on, I think this gentleman was
Yeah,
next.
what's the big draw here? What's gonna draw these tourists here? They have no access to a river that is mostly private, but a beach. What's the big draw here? What's gonna make them all come here? Why would you do that to us without even telling us before that?
Yeah, when was your plan to
tell
involve the
us.
community and inform everybody? If we didn't initiate this with you, would you have initiated it with us?
Well, I did, I initiated it with Bill.
Oh, no, the
Yeah, us,
community,
the
the whole
community.
community, because everything that you do there is going to affect this entire community. And talking to Bill is not the entire community. If he didn't share it with us, none of us would know what you were doing.
That's right.
And so all of us would be our light's gonna change, our traffic's gonna change, our infrastructure's gonna be, taxed. We don't have any sheriff and fire support for this, our property values are gonna plummet. I understand that you have your savings in it, but this is, everybody has their life savings in it too. So the thing is you're inviting people into a community that is going to not be open to them. Nobody wants these people to be walking on the property, across the property to get to a river. The river's gonna have algae blooms, so they're not gonna be able to let their kids or their dogs in the river unless they want their dogs to die. And that would be really good reviews for you. Yeah, we took our dogs to the river, it got algae bloom and it died. Great RV park. So I just see a lot of problems with this. I see light pollution, I see sound pollution, I see safety, I see an influx of people that are gonna be wandering around with their side-by-sides. I see people decimating all the berries that everybody here picks to sustain themselves over the season. I see swimming pools being inundated by people. I see garbage coming in with them. I see people not picking up after their animals. And by the way, when you say your RV is gonna be 15 years, I don't know, if you saw all those RVs and those buses that were parked there for months during COVID, they were not 15 years or newer. Those buses were old. How are you going to maintain that level of who's going to be like inspecting these things, and are you gonna be turning people away if they're not 15 years or newer? What are you gonna do about all that?
To follow on that, I'd like to just ask, a lot of these are details, which is incredibly important, how are these details going to be if it gets accepted? But my question and my big concern is, this process is not zoned for that, so a lot of hoops are being jumped through to get it to be approved as an RV park. And you, as the chair commissioner, happen to our county government, you have close connections with this person in Medford who is the one who has to okay it. So it just smacks of insider trading. It's a huge conflict of interest because of your position.
May I make a suggestion? How about both property owners? You keep mentioning Sienna and Jordan. Let's have all the owners up there.
Yeah.
Instead of laughing in the corner.
Yeah.
And what about law enforcement?
It's your property and you're supposed to.
Let's see it. Let's see it. What
Let's hear
about
it.
law enforcement?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I don't know if this is.
That's appropriate. That's appropriate. Thank you.
Eleanor asked that we handle this in a controlled manner, and I want
It's
to
okay.
respect, no,
I
no.
respect the concerns and I respect the unknowns, the fears. They're certainly real.
But
You
you
know,
can't answer questions for everyone if everyone is shouting. So they need to
Well,
listen to
and I- and I-
Eleanor and you.
I appreciate that, and I do understand that for a lot of you, that was probably the intent. You wanted your pint
Oh, we ain't done
of flesh, for sure.
We just begun this.
That's good.
So, understood. Okay, now.
So I have a question.
So, this is a two-part. The first one's a direct
Do
question.
you live here in this?
It's Curry County.
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
It's Curry County.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will identify myself. Thank you.
Okay.
I am Jeremy Dummeyer. I'm a candidate for Curry County Commissioner. My question is two-part. One, how many campsites are you proposing?
We don't.
Rough.
So we had an initial rough estimate, but we realized that's not gonna
What's the
fit.
rough estimate?
We don't know.
Forest Lake is 18.
Okay. So,
Yeah, Forest Lake has 18, which he just said was his example.
how many
And tent
people here in this
camping.
room lived in Pistol River during 2010? 2010, I was a forest officer with Coos Forest Protective Association. When a semi-truck struck a passenger vehicle on the highway.
Right, over there, right. We almost
That
lost,
fire sparked on the west side of the highway
right.
and ran, I believe it was 100 acres? in short order. The only thing that stopped that fire was the shore pines.
That's right.
It jumped a 4-lane section of this highway right up against where we're sitting here.
Yeah, right out here by us. This
My
building.
question is very simple. How can you think that having a campsite with open fires in an area of high winds and residential use be approvable and acceptable in such conditions? Thank you.
Obviously, you know more about the plan than I do, because we haven't discussed anything about fire. So there's been no proposal, discussion about actual
Wouldn't that be one of the
fires.
first things you consider when you do something like this? What would be the impact on these people? We might destroy everybody's home in this area with one careless camper. Are you going to put that bill? Can we take it out, can we come in and say, Mr. Trost, your campsite caused a fire and wiped out the entire Bristol River area. What are you going to do about that? Are you going to pay our deductibles? Are you going to take care of us? Are you going to come down here and help the insurance people assess our damage? What are you guys gonna do about that? Are you gonna jump on, are you gonna come down here, stomp on the flames yourself? What are you gonna do?
Can't
I'm
replace our baby.
not gonna answer your question.
Because you didn't consider it.
We haven't even put together a proposal.
But that should be part of your
All we
proposal.
have done is asked what is capable of being done. Like, I think that
We don't want it. Bottom line, we don't want it. We don't want you here.
okay.
We don't, yeah, are you?
We don't want you for here.
Okay, one more, really,
No, I'm good. Thank you.
There are some people that do actually ask.
I'll listen to your question. They don't want it in part, they want the answer.
The mic's up there.
What, this community, not many, not all, I won't say everyone, maintains their own defensive fire spaces. So there's some ownership to any kind of fire that happens by each individual property owner. But I wanna know, what do you think your campground is gonna give to the people, the community of Crystal? There's no store, there's no service station, you're gonna collect money, but what are you gonna give to the communities? If you wanna be a member of our community, what are you going to give to the people?
Right, so a couple of things, that we had, been considering, should this go get through, is, offering like, a week-long free stays for each household. Area. But I mean, we have, my wife and I have, we donate anywhere between $12,000 to $14,000 a year back into the community. No, because I understand. But my point is that we believe in reinvesting into the communities that we're in. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
mine's an easy question.
Thank you for showing up. Stay for the rest of it.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Okay. You guys purchased the property, what's this?
And you're leaving.
So, to be honest with you, I would like to take some ownership over the investigation of the development of this property. This has been one of my passion projects. I work in development for a living, and I have dreams of creating little gems here and there. This is a community I grew up in, the community that I love, Brookings is. And so I'm not going to say that our initial intention was to purchase this property for this. We purchased the property because we thought it was an opportunity, a really cool piece of property in a really beautiful area. And so I kind of set out on a journey with the county planner to see what I could do and what's available to me. Whether it's a house, building a house. I work in architecture for a living, right? So I do building, that's what I do.
For something like that.
And that's still an absolute possibility. So to be honest with everyone in this room, I don't have a lot of answers because this was an attempt to start a dialogue with the county planner.
But you did not start the dialogue. We started the dialogue. We found it by accident.
She started with the planner.
Right, so I started the dialogue with the planner, and I apologize to everyone in this room for not opening the floor to conversation to all of you. I would be happy to answer questions to the best of my ability as long as they're presented in a respectful, reasonable way, if I have an answer to them. Okay, I'm just gonna preface that. I don't have time to stand up here and argue and defend myself. Okay,
Can I ask you a question?
absolutely.
Okay, I want to back up about county planner.
Yeah.
So there was a name brought up, that Moody out of Bedford.
Correct.
And then the next comment was, he was a contracting planner. And I want to ask about this.